Hi, welcome to the Plugged In Show. My name is Kristin Smith, and I am your host for today. I think it's really easy as a parent to look at entertainment and get pretty discouraged. There are so many different entertainment avenues and streaming services, which, by the way, keep getting more expensive, but that's a different topic for another day. And a lot of these choices, honestly, are horrible. You don't have to go very deep into the Netflix vault to realize that kids' shows come with problems that 10 years ago we would have never imagined being there. But there's another way to look at this, right? We're sort of in a golden age of Bible-based kids shows and entertainment. We've got more options than ever before, and hopefully the future is full of even more high-quality choices. And speaking of kids entertainment, there's a new movie out there that's supposedly for kids. It's a PG film called Sketch, and it's made by Angel Studios, and Paul Asay will tell us all about it later.
Yes, I will.
She sounds like she doubts you.
He's very excited to do this, yes. Okay, let's just jump right in. Who do we have today? I'd introduce you, but I'd like to hear.
Oh, I'm Bob. Bob Hoos.
Hi, Bob.
I'm Kennedy Unthink.
I'm Kristin Smith. No, I'm Paul Asay.
Don't be difficult. Thanks,
know.
Paul.
You've been away, so you've forgotten us.
Yeah.
I understand.
I like to make them work, guys. Okay, so your first question for today. What is your favorite Bible-based kids entertainment? This can be a book, a song, an audiobook, a YouTube series, a channel, a movie, a show. Tell me. All the options.
I think that the easy fallback would be Chronicles of Narnia, which is why I'm not going to use it.
There you go. So he can get two.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You know my schemes. I want to actually do a more recent one. Doc Connor, Web Detective.
Oh, yeah.
That's one I didn't expect to be that good, honestly.
You really liked
But
that show.
I was quite impressed with it. So you can actually watch the whole series on YouTube. They have each episode on YouTube. And they're also coming out with a movie later,
They
like this year
are.
or next year, maybe.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's basically about this girl who she's this web detective, so which means she uses the internet to solve mysteries. But these are mysteries that are based primarily around elements of the Christian life. And so, like the first episode talks about the gospel, and there's another episode that talks about suffering. There's another episode that talks about just all these really helpful things for a kid to really get their, I guess, first fruits of understanding what it means.
That's awesome. Who's?
Well, I'm going to say Adventures in Odyssey.
That's yeah, we have to, don't we?
You have
Well-
sort of a vested interest in that, right?
Yeah, because I've written, produced, and directed Adventures in Odyssey, so, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But you know what? Since Kennedy got two, I'm going to say two as well. I'm going to choose another one that you wouldn't think of as a Christian source, but I kind of do, and that's the Berenstain books.
Oh, that's interesting.
The Berenstain Bear books, which were written by a couple, Stan and Jan Berenstain, who you wouldn't expect. I mean, okay, they didn't present themselves as Christians, and I had read that he was actually Jewish. But their son, who's sort of taken over the books, is definitely Christian. In fact, he's in a whole line of Berenstain books that are focused on faith.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like them too, actually. Paul.
So you know what? I actually just switched tracks just in the last 5 seconds. I was
Because
going to
we've
say...
chosen everything
Yeah,
else.
right.
Well,
Yeah, we've
I was
listed everything.
I was thinking Chronicles of Narnia. I grew up on Chronicles of Narnia, so that was a big deal. Veggie Tales is a classic, right? But I'm going to go with something that I don't think a lot of people have heard about, Tower of Gabura. So this was a book that I read when I was maybe 12 years old, and it is sort of like a Chronicles of Narnia ripoff. Like these kids go into this mysterious world through TVs, but it is deeply Christian, and it is a remarkably fun story. It was my favorite book when I read it. I thought it was just tremendous. So
What's the title again?
Tower of Gabura. So definitely, I think it's worth checking out.
Spelled Gabura.
Yeah.
I think it's Geburruh, something like that. Wow. Yeah, it's been a while since I've read it, but it was really influential to me. It has a lot of action. It's set in this fantasy world, and it has just these really compelling kid characters that I grew to really love in the 3 times that I read the book,
Wow.
like back to back to back. So that would be my pick.
Okay. I like the Berenstain Bears too. I actually just got DVDs for my kids.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because I know that's like old school, but we were traveling, did a big road trip, and I didn't want their little minds melting with their tablets the whole time. So I turned on the TV instead. Parenting advice for everybody.
A screen for a screen.
Yeah, that's right. We got Berenstain Bears. But probably my earliest memory is probably, I'll do two as well, is probably VeggieTales. But then we would drive to church all the time and we would listen to Adventures in Odyssey.
Yeah. Oh.
And often I did not even want to go to church because we'd have to like stop listening to Adventures in Odyssey.
Wait,
I know.
more.
I'd be like, I don't want to go in yet. And we would have to. But I think this is where we'll lead the conversation this way. Bob, you were talking about Adventures in Odyssey because
Yeah.
obviously you have a part in it. But
Right.
can you tell me what it's all about and why it's been popular for so long?
Good question. For those who have never heard of it, it's a radio drama. It's not a video, at least not yet.
It
But,
was, though.
Well, yeah, they did have some way back when, a few, they're like a handful of
Yeah.
Adventures in Odyssey videos, and they're working toward new ideas coming up soon. But right now it's a radio show. And you can still hear it on the radio, and they also have a club that you can actually buy membership to, and it's a very inexpensive membership, and you have access to all the vast number of shows that are out there. Anyway, it takes place in a little town called Odyssey, thus Adventures in Odyssey, and it focuses on this guy named John Whitaker, who owns an ice cream shop. And again, for those who've never heard, basically an ice cream shop, as you might imagine, will draw kids. And his ministry is essentially to talk to kids about life things, things that happen in life, and then look at them through the lens of faith. And so that's what this show does. Now, when I started writing for it, I thought of it as a kids show. And when you think of kids show, you think of a lot of Teletubby, little, who knows what. But this one, and Phil Lawler, who was one of the original creators, he always said, and has to this day said, no, it's not a kid show. It is a family drama.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And to be honest, that's true. And for those who have never heard of it, it tells all kinds of stories. It doesn't just stay right in Odyssey. Because radio theater, I mean, the great thing about radio theater, it can be anywhere. It can be, inside a tree. It can be in Afghanistan. It can be anywhere you want it to be.
You don't need a big special effects
No.
budget to do it?
Well, you still have special effects, but they're
You-
just
your
sound
Foley
effects.
crew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a Foley crew, yeah. But anyway, it's a wonderful show that I think it's kept going because of that element. I mean, it started like almost 40 years ago. And the people that were kids 40 years ago, they're now very much adults. And so they're having their kids listen to it, and sometimes their grandkids listen to it.
Yeah.
And it just continues to grow and grow and grow. And it's one of those shows that as an adult you can listen to and enjoy it just as much. That's the joy of this particular kind of. In fact, you don't hear radio dramas much anymore.
No, yeah.
And I know I'm monopolizing the time here
No, this is good.
to advertise, but it really is a wonderful show that deals with a lot of compelling issues. It's not just, Johnny gets a skinned knee and gets angry at his friend. It deals with everything from divorce to
Yeah.
Someone being really sick. I mean, a lot of topics that you might not think of in a kid's show, but you weave it into something that a 10-year-old could still enjoy
Yeah.
and maybe understand
And I
as you
think
go along.
it's a big perk too when parents don't despise what they're hearing. You know what I mean? We don't have to suffer through listening
Yeah.
to something like a kid's show. Because I found some DVDs, Adventures in Odyssey DVDs,
Yeah.
at a bookstore, and I got it for the car as well. I'm telling you guys, the only reason I bought this minivan is the DVD player. But anyway, it works really well. But there's not just Adventures in Odyssey, right? It's an incredible resource, but there are now a ton of like Christian shows and entertainment. So let's hear some. What do you guys enjoy? What do you know that's out there?
Well, I think it depends what medium you want to
Let's do TV.
use. Oh, okay. Well, if we're talking about TV, I think as we've mentioned many times before, VeggieTales is kind of the first thing that comes to my mind, at least. But you have a lot of shows that, I believe The Chosen is actually making
The Chosen,
a kids version.
Yeah, an animated Chosen adventure.
That's going to be epic.
It is going to be really interesting. It's going to be fascinating to see what they do with it.
Earlier, we talked about a movie that came out, The King of Kings.
Oh, yeah.
That was probably one of the better Christian movies that I've seen since I started working at Plugged In. And so I think you have a lot of options. I'm not going to take them all up, so you guys can.
Before you go on, I have a real quick question. Do they still make, because I haven't been in this market for a while, do they still make new VeggieTales shows? Do they?
Yeah,
they have a new animation company.
Oh, okay.
But as far as I'm aware, they still make them.
Yeah, the whole VeggieTales saga is an interesting one, right? Because it really started off with this very strong Christian point of view. It sort of, when it moved into, because it became so popular, and but when it moved into Netflix, I believe, then it lost a lot of of that DNA. And now I think it's a little bit back now.
Yeah, I think the ones that are on Netflix, it's really just about like being a good person.
Being a good person, and there's nothing wrong with
Nothing
being
wrong
a
with
good
that,
person.
no.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took away some of those Christian underpinnings that I think really resonated with parents.
And it's not specifically about like Bible stories. One that I saw that I thought was cool, and I haven't seen it yet on Angel Studios, was David.
Yeah.
I really wanted to try that because I think one of the issues that I've seen as a parent is that there's a lot for girls and there's not a lot for little boys.
That's really true.
So trying to find a character that like my son would want to watch or want to read is something that I feel like I have to dig a little more for. Do you guys have any like suggestions?
Well, it's interesting, and Kennedy can speak to this so much better than I can. But there's a lot of actual Bible-based entertainment options out there, and part of that is because there's so many streaming services that sort of cater to that, right? We've got Minnow, which is a really strong presence. It has a lot of the old VeggieTales that you can watch. So that's a streaming service that allows it.
Yippee.
Yippee is another one. The Daily Wire, they have a service just for kids, and it's not political at all. You know, the Daily Wire can be pretty political. Their Bent Key kids outlet is really, it just has some really nice, strong kids programming that is pretty family friendly. And then you've got PureFlix. They have their own streaming service. I believe that Angel has their own streaming service as well. So you have a lot of different outlets where you can find some pretty good quality entertainment.
Yeah, and I will say Minnow in particular, I think it's also Go Minnow. They do a lot of stuff that is very intentionally for kids.
That's cool.
And very intentionally Christian.
Yes. Moving to books as well, lesser known from Chronicles of Narnia. The Wingfeather Saga is one that we've talked about a bit.
So good, yeah.
That's by Andrew Peterson. There's also one
I think we talked about him on the podcast, as a matter of fact.
We did. There's also one by a guy named...
So look back through the archives. Sorry.
There's also one by a guy named Chuck Black. It's the Kingdom series, and it tells the story of this knight, but it's kind of a lot of allusions to the Christian faith that I think a lot of teen boys might resonate with.
That's cool. One thing my son really likes, he's almost 8, is Dude Perfect on YouTube because he loves sports. And so this is like a fun, for me, I like some of these streaming services, right? Like the ability to get these. But let's say you don't want to purchase them because it's just another additional subscription that you have to pay for. And maybe Netflix comes with your T-Mobile. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of bundles these days where the Christian streaming services don't include that option. Yeah. So I want to talk about maybe some cleaner options on different streaming services that maybe like that families could look into. And one that I was thinking of, Wildcrats. Like that's one where if you have like the PBS app, my kids really love Wildcrats. And I think some of these
So tell me about that, because I'm not familiar with it.
Wildcrats?
Wildcrats.
Oh, no. Did you ever watch Zaboomafoo?
That throws me back.
Are you just making these words up?
Are these made up words?
It's the lemur show.
Kennedy, help me, please. They don't know what I'm saying.
I grew up on Zaboomafoo.
Yes.
Wow. And it's a lemur show?
Oh, okay, Wild Kratts is basically, it's these two brothers, okay, and they go and explore like nature and creation, but they are animated in the new series. So they're like, they start off as themselves and they jump into animation, and then they go learn about, creation.
So it's sort of like Slam-a-Mama Bing Bong.
Oh, of course.
Get out of here. You guys are the worst. Another one that I think is fun is the Magic School Bus. Do we know what this is?
Yeah, this one,
There
yeah.
it is, resonating with a larger audience. Yes.
The old guys. Magic School, oh, yeah.
I know that.
They know what it is. But do you guys have any ideas? Like, have you seen something? Maybe it doesn't have to be a movie or a TV show.
I do. One that has been popular at our house when my grandchildren come to visit. Bluey.
I love Bluey.
Isn't that great?
Yes.
I mean, for those who have never heard of it, it's essentially a family of
Healers.
Yeah, but the dog. What kind of a dog is
Healer.
it?
Blue healer.
A healer dog.
Yeah, Blue Heroes.
And so they're blue, and Blue E is the central character. Now that central character, I learned after watching several episodes, I suddenly realized, oh, that's supposed to be a girl. Oh, okay. But so it can be boy or girl oriented because it really appeals to kids.
It does.
And it's very, very funny, not necessarily because it's written funny, but because the actors are great.
Well,
Yes.
and it also touches on a lot of like what the adults are going
yeah.
through as the parents too.
Uh-huh.
So it's
Exactly.
it's not one of those shows where you're going to be so annoyed as the parent
Yeah.
because it's just people running around screaming.
And they're calling the dad dumb all the time.
Right, yeah.
No, that's not the case here.
It is very sharply written. Now, when
Yeah.
we're talking about some of these specifically not Christian shows, it's always good to check out the Plugged In review, right?
Yeah.
Because there can be some content
For
issues
sure.
to be aware of. But yeah, I mean, Bluey, for the most part, it is just a delightful show. It's a really
In fact,
fun show.
we reviewed the Bluey game, and the Bluey game is excellent. If your kids are into video games,
Oh,
and
my kids play it.
and yeah, it's one that you can easily play with them, and it's lots of fun and very funny.
One thing that I wanted to just circle back on, your mention of Dude Perfect. You know, when you're talking about sort of these cheaper options, where
Yeah.
you don't have to pay for a streaming service.
YouTube's free.
Yeah.
YouTube's free, and you mentioned earlier on, Kennedy, that Dr. Connor Web Detective is
That's on YouTube.
It's on
Yeah.
YouTube.
But YouTube can be hard because this is something that my kids know, like they're not allowed on YouTube at all unless I'm physically present.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy. Even
Yeah.
YouTube Kids, it's really easy to go down a hole that you don't want them to go down. But yes, there are incredible resources.
Yeah, no, I mean, we actually have a lot of reviews on our channel about specifically Christian channels. Now, a lot of those are more for older audiences.
Right.
But we do have quite a few that are for kids as well. I think, was it Storybook or Storybrook Kids? We reviewed that one a while back. I would honestly say that Elements of the Bible Project.
Oh,
kids-
yeah, that's
kids
a
could-
great
It
one.
could be very helpful for kids.
Now, I haven't reviewed these, so I'm just asking a question. Used to be that Mickey Mouse, like the Clubhouse stuff, used to be really good.
That's a good one.
Is it still?
For the most part, there was some discussion about like the voice of one character in the new series. But I think overall, my 2-year-old watches Mickey and still loves Mickey.
And our relationship in general is strained with Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, again, when we're talking about some of these shows, they can surprise you, right? And shows that are, 98% wonderful, you will have one episode where all of a sudden something will happen.
Yeah, it's
Well,
hard.
that's our biggest, one of our biggest things when we talk about people who send us messages, is because we watch a good portion of the TV show,
But we can't watch it all.
for a kids TV show, but we can't watch the whole thing
Yeah.
because
Right.
that would take hours and hours and hours and hours. And so it just so happens that like season 7, episode 8, at the 24th minute mark,
Yeah.
Right.
there's 1 second of this really annoying thing that happens.
Right,
That
right.
like, a lot of families are like, "Ah, of course,
Right.
Exactly.
And so that's the kind of, we get those comments the most of people being like, hey, just so you know,
yeah,
this happens here, because it never really comes up in that first season or two.
right.
But
right,
it is disappointing that there aren't a lot of things that are so consistent that you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But then that's why Plugged In's here.
Well, and that's why we have entertainment options like Adventures in Odyssey too.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
One of the things I wanted to bring up before I ask one more question is that, well, I guess a few things, that my kids have been really into the Yoto player. And I think there's the Tony box too. So there's a couple different options. But the Yoto player, which is like your little portable MP3 basically, and has little cards you can put into it. They had this special during Christmas from Lithos Kids. And it's basically just like Bible stories. So they have New and Old Testament. They have the parables of Jesus. And I downloaded it for like 99 cents. You pay for the cards. I think a pack of like 10 is like $20 or something. And then you just, download it. And then they can listen to it on their own, which has been like a really cool resource.
Well, I'm assuming the players are also probably pretty indestructible.
Yes. Yes, for the most part. We've had an issue one time, but yeah, they are really indestructible, which is nice for kids. And they can have their little headphones and go do their own little thing, which is
Like
fun.
Mom.
Yeah, exactly. They're not soundproof because I need to hear me. But and then another resource I thought was really cool that we have at our house that might be helpful. Two of them. One are these like hardcover books called Big Theology for Little Hearts. And there's a whole bunch of different ones. So there's a whole bunch of different ones. So I have the gospel, the Holy Spirit, Jesus.
We just got those actually.
Yeah, they're really great. And it's like a fun way for like, my little kids to sit down and be able to not destroy the book that I'm handing them.
Yeah.
But we can read it together. And another thing that we got, this is like $3 on Amazon. It's called the New City Catechism for Kids. And it's basically like 52 questions, like theological questions. And there's like the little answer. It's like maybe one line. But it's been really cool at dinner. Like sometimes we just like, it sits like right on our table and we can like ask a question and talk about it. And it creates like a really cool opportunity for our kids to learn.
See, that is fantastic. I mean, really, in my mind, when you can look for and find little areas where you can connect with your kids, over dinner or whatever. I mean, I was talking about the Berenstain books. For my youngest daughter, I mean, I think all three of my kids read some of them. My youngest daughter really loved them, and I was traveling a lot at the time. And every time I went out on a tour or doing whatever we were doing, I would come back with a new Berenstain book.
That's sweet.
And it became this routine where she looked forward to that new book and our connection.
I
So
love
anytime,
that.
Wonderful.
really, anytime you can find something like that, I think that's really important. Even just sitting around at dinner, having more than just sitting and eating at dinner time, where you can connect with your kids in some way, is great.
Yeah.
That reminds me, because you were talking a little bit about how you can listen to some of these Bible stories, through some of these services, and that's fantastic. But when I think back to my childhood, and granted, I'm 3 bazillion years old, but one of my favorite memories is after dinner. There were years where we would just, after dinner, we would always crack open the Bible storybook, and we would read 1 or 2 or 3 stories from the Bible. And it really made a difference to me, not only because of the stories, but because my mom was the person who was reading them. You can hear, it sort of imprints in your mind that the sound of your parents, and that's something that I think can be really powerful and really comforting to kids as they go around. It's not just about the stories, but it's how they're sort of transmitted to these young little ears and
That
eyes.
is a fabulous point. I mean, we often say that about music. We think about music from our teens and how it sticks with us, and we
Yeah, it's
remember the
nostalgic.
times and the places. I think a voice of a loved one can be the very same way.
Yeah,
I think hopefully this is really encouraging. I hope, I just want to say this for younger parents. This might all sound like, oh, that's nice that you're doing this. Like, how nice are these? I am now just entering a season where everyone's not melting down at dinner time and crying. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm not even going to eat. I'm just going to eat when you go to bed. What's the point? I'm so stressed. But it's been really nice to see like a different side. So if you're like in the trenches right now with younger kids, just know that some of these like times are so possible and it's coming. And, not every season lasts forever.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
And they could be worth a lot more than what you think.
that's true. Anyway, thanks, guys.
All right. I can see the bag. It's right here in front of me, sitting on a giant marble pedestal. I could probably just walk right up and take it.
Wait! Don't move, Agent Connor. I've got eyes on the security system. Dr. Ivanov's trapped the whole place with infrared lasers. Cross any of them and the whole place will be on you in seconds.
He's forced us to rappel down the side of the building, sneak past security, crawl through oversized air vents, and decipher the security code on the door into this room, and he's still got more traps in here? Whatever's in that bag must be pretty important to his schemes.
Well, just give me a minute. I think I can hack into the mainframe and turn the lasers off.
No need. I can maneuver my way past these lasers. Here I go.
Nice job, Agent Connor.
Not as hard as it looked. Let's see what's in this bag. Becoming a screen-savvy family by the plugged-in team. What's he doing with this?
Secret Agent Connor. If you really don't know why I own that, then I'm afraid you're in over your head, Agent Connor.
Connor, you're compromised.
Yeah, I figured that out, thanks. Dr. Victor Ivanov, what evil plans could you possibly be plotting with this book?
Evil plans? Quite the contrary. That's my most prized possession. You see, after a long day of building death lasers and bombs with giant timers on them, even I like to relax and watch a little TV. But I do not like to subject myself to all that troubling entertainment. Of course not. That's worse than my death lasers.
Well,
That book helps me navigate through those issues with my minions. It's as simple as that.
Connor, I've just searched the database. He's telling the truth. It looks like you can even get your own copy by sending a gift of any amount to Plugged In. You just have to go to thepluggedinshow.com and look at this episode's show notes to find out how.
so all of the time we spent preparing for this operation, we could have just bought the book online? That's it. No more impossible missions for me. I'm going to become an accountant.
We can all get angry or sad or confused. How do we get all those emotions out? Sometimes we blow up when we shouldn't, and sometimes we manage them by running or hiking or maybe something a little less athletic. And sometimes we even host podcasts and take all those negative emotions out on our guests. Guys, that Paul wanted me to say that, so I said that for him. But anyway, in the PG movie Sketch, which is now out in theaters, Amber deals with her own emotions through artwork. She fills a notebook filled with monsters and manifestations of the anger and hurt she's feeling. But when that notebook falls into an apparently magical pond, her art takes on a life of its own. Literally. So, Paul, you saw Sketch, and I sort of told people what it was about, but you should tell us more what it's about.
You did a great job
Well,
with that.
thanks.
Yeah, it's it is exactly like what you're saying. There's this 9-year-old girl named Amber. She is dealing with the loss of her mom, and her dad is sort of trying to ignore the whole thing, trying to make everything just happy and good and go forward with things. Her brother is trying to help. Her older brother is trying to help, not really doing much. And Amber has started drawing these rather disturbing pictures, which earns a call from the school over to Dad.
Sure.
But the counselor says, why don't you go ahead? It's much better to put these things in paper than to manifest them in real life. So she has this book that she just starts drawing and drawing and drawing. Meanwhile, apparently her older brother discovers this sort of magical pond where their mom used to walk, and discovers that it has healing powers. He stuck his hand in there. It was bleeding. It comes out all healed. He puts a plate in it. It's fine. He pulls it out. It's all fixed. He wants to resurrect his mother. So he takes, it gets pretty interesting. He takes the box of ashes out to the pond.
Thank goodness it was ash.
Dragging-
They're gonna go like.
No, it's not quite that dark. But drags the ashes out. Amber follows him. They have a little bit of a confrontation there by the pond, and the notebook falls in. The next morning, there are some very, very strange creatures running around the town. And some of them, because Amber really does have some anger things that she's working through, they want to kill and eat people. So that's where the story
Angel
begins.
Studios.
Angel Studios. This is by Angel Studios. And
wow.
it is, well, we can get into this, but it has gotten 100% so far on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
Okay. Okay, so is this a Christian movie? Like,
So no,
would you
it's not.
characterize it? No.
No, it is from Angel Studios, and it does. Tony Hale, who stars in it, he is a Christian in Hollywood,
Okay.
but there isn't like explicit Christian content. This is more a family show. This is more about a family that's hurting, and they're trying to figure out how to deal with that hurt.
Okay.
So you're not going to find any prayers. You're not going to find any references to God, but a lot of the messages that you can take away from this movie, you know, they're pretty universal. I mean, there's a lot of things that I think Christians can talk about. One of the things that struck me is how I think as Christians and sometimes Christian parents, we really are very mindful of how we present ourselves, right?
Yeah.
We want things to be happy. We want things to be, and so some of the disturbing things that our kids might bring home from school, we want to say, no, this isn't healthy. Why don't you concentrate on what's better than this? This movie sort of pushes against that and says, you know what, there's a place for anger, there's a place for sadness, and it's better to
Processing
get it
emotions.
out on paper than
Yeah.
it is to take it out on other people. And I think that that's an important one, maybe especially for Christian parents to grapple with.
Well, especially if you're dealing with loss. Like, you can't, to pretend that it doesn't exist that doesn't help anybody, right?
Right.
And exactly, you just store everything inside. That's interesting.
Yeah,
So to clarify, is this like a kid's horror movie?
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
it is a kid's horror movie. And let me just say, it is honest to goodness scary. You know, it is, you have definitely some issues besides the horror element, but yeah, it leans into horror tropes. There are some elements that if you're 6 years old, there are creatures that Amber has drawn that you're going to be terrified of.
Yeah, I was wondering if it'd be more
Interesting.
like If, you know,
Yeah.
where you have all the fantasy creatures, but
Yeah.
not that freaky.
And they're sort of delightful in their own way, but at the same time, you're seeing some perilous things. So you have there's creatures that Amber has labeled eiders.
Okay.
They're spiders that just are one big eyeball, and they
Lovely.
run around,
worst
and
nightmare.
so they cover people, and
it's terrible.
they're trying to, you know, they're actually, Amber in her story, she says they'll take your stuff, they'll take your phone, your notebooks, your fingernails, your eyes.
Oh, my.
You know,
Hey,
and
Amber,
so
what's that about?
so you do have these really horrific elements that are sort of drawn in here.
Yeah.
It feels light for adults. You can totally,
But it's not a pure flicks movie.
but it's not a pure flicks movie.
So
That's
what do
exactly
you
right.
think might be the cutoff range? In other words,
Yeah.
kids younger than this might find it really problematic.
You know, it's a great question, and my knee jerk is always it really depends on the kid, because there are always so many different levels of what a child can experience, you know, without being awake for the rest of their lives. I would say that probably what we'd be looking at would be maybe around 8 or 9,
Yeah, it sounds
you know,
about-
because the main character is 9 years old. And I
Yeah.
think that these elements, they're a little bit less than what you would find in Goosebumps, you know, the Goosebumps book or whatnot.
Yeah.
But with a lot of heart, a lot more heart underneath it. And so I think that if you have kids that like to be a little bit scared, who can navigate some of these things, I would say maybe 8 or 9 is when you start thinking about, okay, is this a movie that might work for us? Now, that said, let me just say there are some other plugged-in elements to be aware
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
You know, you've got some language issues. There can be a little bit of harsh profanity even within this PG context.
Okay.
There's a little bit of a sensual joke that happens, and there's a lot of bathroom humor. So those elements definitely don't make it sound like your typical Angel Studios
No, it doesn't.
film,
It's interesting, though.
but
It's a little sketchy.
oh, very good, very good. It is, I do have to say, it is really delightful.
Wow. Okay.
From a movie perspective, the images that you see are creative. The monsters even are really cleverly made, and the heart of this movie is very strong.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for listening to the Plugged In Show today, and thank you for your kind comments, including a few. One from Leanne, and she says, "Hi team, hope that you're well. I'm from South Africa, and I've really loved listening to the weekly Plugged In Show and enjoy not only the wonderful conversations and reviews that you've done, but the laughter and the banter too." Thanks, Leanne. We like it too.
Probably the games as well.
Yeah. She said, "I'm sad to hear that the show is ending, but we'll continue to follow you on social media and enjoy the words of wisdom and reviews that you offer. I really use these a lot to check out content for myself, my family, and my kids before we watch, listen, or read things in the entertainment space. Will there still be conversations as before, but on YouTube or Facebook? Keep up the great work that God is doing through you." So, thank you. That was very kind.
The
And
answer to that is yes.
Yes.
We will be
definitely
having
do.
conversations on YouTube.
So, I guess wait for it.
Yeah.
Everyone's really excited here to be on camera.
We'll try to make it as
You have to look at
easy
us
to
now.
find as
No,
possible.
you have to look at us. No, we're really excited, actually, about being able to carry on some of these conversations. This has honestly been one of my favorite parts of my gig here. Is
Yeah, it's
these
been
conversations that we've had, and so we wouldn't want to lose those opportunities to engage deeply with the entertainment that we engage with. Right?
Well, that's true.
Well, and it's also been cool to, now that it's almost over, to hear from a lot of people.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of people write in, and man, would have liked to have heard from them earlier and maybe started up a conversation, you know.
Speaking of those thoughts that you may have, you can go to the Plugged In Show and tell us what you like about it or dislike, but keep those sparse, please, on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Or you can write us a note at team@thepluggedinshow.com and leave us a voice message on the Plugged In Show homepage as well. So many options, you guys. Or you can post on our blog, and I promise that's the final one. And you can join us next week for the penultimate episode of the Plugged In Show.